Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the more survivalists and talking about the most important topic of, well, current times, maybe of our generation. The loss of freedom, the loss of liberty we're seeing all over the world, and how this has been normalized by, through different methods, through the media that it's owned by these same groups of interests trying to take away your freedom, trying to take away your choice, and the people that go along with it. I'm just watching Rafael Nadal, the tennis player, saying, well, if Djokovic was not complying, he knew the consequences. That's basically what you're seeing. You're seeing the president of France wanting to screw people that haven't been vaccinated. That's the best translation, so I'm sorry if you're offended, but that's what this man is saying. Macron says he wants to, the French version is pretty much the closest thing would be to screw or mess with, but it was actually a bit more rude than mess with. More like, I want to screw with people that haven't complied yet. That's what this man has in mind. And people like Novak Djokovic being treated like a prisoner by Australian authorities, according to his own mother. I mean, he's not like a prisoner. He's taken to a certain place and he's not allowed to leave unless they say so, but not really a prisoner. Internment camps. What is an internment camp? Because some people think, no, that's only in Nazi Germany. No, an internment camp is whenever you're deprived of your freedom, of your liberty, of moving around, and whenever you're locked in some place without having committed any crime, right? And without any intention of bringing you to justice for any crime you may have committed, that's an internment camp. That's where, without any moral right, you're being deprived of one of your basic essential human rights, which is the right of moving around freely, to be a free person. You're deprived of that without having done anything wrong. No matter what they change to the rules or laws or whatever, so as to make it all nice and tidy, that's what's being done to you. So if you're being detained for the color of your skin, the shape of your eyes, this happened in the United States. You guys know this very well. Those that were of Japanese descendants or, sure, that was done. It happens. It happened in different countries at different times. If you were of a certain religion, and some people don't even know that in Great Britain in the 70s, if you were Catholic and you were living in Northern Ireland, there was a good chance that you could end up as well in a detention camp in Northern Ireland, part of UK. And this happened not in the Second World War. This happened in the 70s, right? And a lot of people don't even know this, but that's the way it is. That's the way the history is constantly, rewritten or written by those that are running things. And now it is a political thing. If you are not bending your knee, if you're not complying, in places like Australia, they drag you to a damn dungeon, maybe a minefield. It's a mine town I think they were using for one of these gold standard COVID camps or COVID villages. Still, you're being taken to a place where you're not allowed to leave and you didn't do anything wrong. Unless what wrong is in your own sick mind is not complying with insanity. Anyway, so in the case of Novak Djokovic, if you haven't been following, this is a man that chose not to get this stuff, which I completely agree. I mean, I couldn't agree more with the man. He's obviously not an idiot. And he said, I'm not getting it. I'm not going to be lying about it, because many of these people, some of the richest people around, they could say, yes, I got it. Here's my passport, whatever. That is what many of these people certainly do. They say they got it. That's the easiest thing to do. You say, yeah, sure, here's my paper. Right? Who's going to be checking? Did you actually see that nurse? And there's a famous president of a certain very powerful country that most likely didn't get this and is still pretending he did. And like him, many of the richest and more powerful people have their paper, but Novak Djokovic said, no, I didn't do it. I just don't want to get it. I'm not getting it. And I'll say for him, he could have gone the other way. He could have gone he could have done yeah, sure, I'll take it. But what many of these awful people do is lie about it. They don't get it. They don't believe in getting it themselves, but they say they did. And they have the papers as to, yeah, sure, move around freely. All nice and good. But he said no. And he asked specifically for an exemption so as to compete in Australia. And Australia gave him that permission. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone. I mean, he's not an idiot, obviously enough. And he knows that he has a very good chance of ending in some of these camps if he goes to Australia without having this sorted out. So he sorted it out. He got the exemption so as to go and play. And then when all of this blew in the media, they said, no, now we're detaining your ass the same. And here's the mother of Novak Djokovic saying, treated, and this is from CNN, not some conspiracy site, treated like a prisoner according to his own mother. And, you know, we are living in times where you have the president of France saying he wants to basically screw you and mess with your life. And you have people like Nadal, Rafael Nadal, saying, well, he knew the consequences of what he was doing. Now, I don't trust the media, but here is him saying it in his own words. So let's check this out. And the body language is interesting. Look, like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Just happened. You see, yeah, that body language is so telling. Anyway, let's see what he has to say.
I am no one to have or to create a different opinion. I don't have an opinion on that. I think if he wanted, he will be playing here in Australia without a problem. No, he went through another. He makes his own decisions, and everybody is free to take their own decisions. But then there are some consequences, no. And of course, I don't like the situation that is happening. In some way, I feel sorry for him, but at the same time, he knew the conditions since a lot of months ago. So
I don't have an opinion on this, but I mean, I skipped pretty much half of the video where he keeps on repeating that he hasn't got an opinion on this, and then actually, shares his opinion. And his opinion is that he has to basically live with the consequences of his choices, as if he is rightfully being punished for something even worse than that. And this man is not an idiot. Rafael Nadal is a world-class athlete, maybe one of the best tennis players ever, multi-millionaire young man, and he knows that Djokovic had the papers in order so as to travel with a medical exemption, so as to participate without getting it. But he's pretending not to know that or understand that, or pretending to have forgotten that was the case. Anyway, it is people like this, and I was saying in my Spanish channel, you can be the richest, you can have millions of dollars, being an extremely successful young man, and still at the core, you're basically what you are. You're a miserable human being if you're a tiny soul. That's not going to be changing. And I believe that's this man, because he could have taken a very different path. He could have said either the coward way would have been, I don't have an opinion on any of this, I'll just keep my mouth shut, which is what he says at the beginning. But then he goes on about his, living with his consequences, and that he knew what. No, that's not true. And he could have done something that required just a little bit more of courage, just a little bit more of guts, and actually stand for his friend, or at least his partner, or at least his colleague. A colleague in the same sport he's played against so many times playing against him as an adversary, and have the slightest bit of balls and say, you know what, this is wrong. He's an athlete. He had an exemption. He had this sorted out. And once he was here, because of the backlash, they changed that decision and they threw him in some room. No, that's just wrong. And I don't believe, you know what? It would have been even better if all of them had said, no, we're not playing in a country where people are illegitimately detained as if they were criminals. I'm not playing in such an awful tyranny of a place. That would have been a lot better. Anyway, guys, it's because of people like this that comply with this sort of insanity that we are where we are. Because if more people opposed it, if more people, especially with someone like him, multi-millionaire, super famous guy, it would be pretty easy to just take a stand and say, this is just wrong. I'm not doing this, right? That would have been a lot better. Anyway, we cannot ask for much apparently, because this is what people, this is what you see a lot of. There's a lot of people that are like that, but there's way too many of these still around, and that's why we find ourselves in this mess. Guys, it's gonna be all for now. See you in the next video. Take care.